Good evening, Iowa and the world. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program, coming to you every 6:30 to 7:30 on Tuesday nights, broadcasting from webcast1live.com studios in beautiful downtown Des Moines. This is Lefty coming to you again, because apparently that's the name of the game, is we're coming to people all the time, everywhere, and for every single reason under the sun. But with me, as always.
That's right. It's like we're the Clay Matthews of talk radio.
That's
Just
right.
Everywhere on the field.
Everywhere. Across the table, a long ways away, but close in my heart, Dr. Petrosh. Doc, what's up?
Hey, not much. Just my weight, not my IQ. That's my favorite line. How you been? Things going well?
Well, you know, I'm going to give you the complaint that I've been using all day today, because it is very apt.
All right.
It's very apt.
So do I need to hit the timer and get you on the clock?
No, not at all. Because
all right, good.
I started today in Des Moines, and then I went to your old hometown in Iowa, and then
that's all right.
Right.
Did you stop by any of the restaurants down there?
No, when did I have time? Because then I had to go to Knoxville and then come back to Des Moines.
I'm sorry.
Right, so I hit all three counties, all this morning before noon, and and I also have to get a adoption finalized by next Tuesday, the 23rd, which is the deadline for a juvenile appeal that I'm doing. And I got the adoption materials yesterday and started the petition 20 minutes for getting my car to come and do the show. And I realized that I had decided, because I'm a genius, to cram everything in right before Christmas next week. And it's only Tuesday.
You know,
I'm ready for a drink.
Being an agnostic, I'm surprised you didn't burst into flame when you said the word Christmas. I'm just kind of startled by that.
Oh,
because I was, if you couldn't see me off camera, I was backing away just in case.
I see.
Just in case.
There aren't any holidays that you celebrate where you have doubts about the underlying tenets of those holidays?
Well, no, I don't celebrate them. Kwanzaa is one of those I have an underlying doubts about the holiday.
Is Kwanzaa the holiday of the same kind of thing as Christmas? Historically and traditionally?
No. But, well, yeah, I guess.
Have you ever celebrated a Passover supper?
In fact, during the break, I'll tell you, one time, and it was awesome.
So I've done it a couple of times, and it is awesome.
It is awesome. So,
there you go.
Anyway, so you got any gigs lined up? You got one coming up this weekend, right?
No.
I thought
that one fell through.
Bummer.
No, I've got a few of myself in the first part of January. The band is coming together, and we're starting to put more songs in the set list that are going to be cool, and really, and I got a couple other guys in the band and myself are starting to hit the pavement and figure out what we're doing in the spring and the summer, because our bass player is looking at having carpal tunnel surgery here after the first of the year.
Oh, that's always bad.
He's going to be down for a couple of weeks, and we've got a long-term plan, but nothing in the short term. Me in the short term, if that's good enough.
All right, no, that's good. So anyway, well, we have not necessarily a fun-filled Christmas, or you know what? How about this for next week? I'm gonna throw this out there to you.
Mm-hmm.
What about next week? We do a little bit of politics because we can't help it, but next week we're going to do a feel-good kind of thing. We're going to get some stories out there, feel-good stories, talk about some good things, maybe get a couple of musicians on, either some of your friends, some of Jen's friends, somebody, and we'll just do a nice Christmas show.
Next week?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, then we'll just keep it Christmassy and nice, and you don't even have to believe in Christmas or God to be able to enjoy it. How's that?
I believe in Christmas. It happens on December 25th.
You believe in Christmas? I believe in Christmas.
What's there not to believe?
You know what? I have. This is a great story. My son comes home from school. He had been going to St. Pius, and one of his friends, Little John, had told him. He came home from St. Pius, and he's looking pretty dejected. And I said, well, what's going on today, buddy? Oh, well, I don't want to talk about it. Well, no, tell me what's up. So I spent a little bit of time cajoling at him, and he says, well, my friend John? I said, yeah. He said, well, he told me there's no Santa Claus. And I said, he did? Well, yeah. Well, how does he know there's no Santa Claus? Well, he looks at me and he says, well, his older brother John said there's no Santa Claus. And he said that, it's just your mom and dad giving presents. So I looked at little Pat and I said, you know what? I feel bad for John. Well, why do you feel bad for John? And I said, because Santa Claus stops coming when you stop believing in him. And so his eyes gets all wide, and they're the prettiest, bluest eyes you'll ever see. They're almost gray. And his eyes are all wide, and he goes, I believe, Daddy. I believe with all my heart. And to this day, if I ask him, are you ready for Christmas? He'll tell me, I still believe. That is the power of faith right there, and commercialism. So, that's my cute Christmas story for this week anyway. Do you have any cute Christmas stories? From before you went to the dark side?
Well, I could tell you cute Christmas stories the last couple of years with my nephew hanging out and running around like a crazy person and breaking stuff and being funny. Yeah. Those are adorable.
Oh, yeah, those are all fun.
But I think probably one of my favorite Christmas stories is I don't even remember how old I was. We're at my dad's parents' place in Salem, South Dakota, and everybody was there. He's got a brother with no kids and two sisters, and the one sister's got 4 kids. The other sister's got, so there's 8 of us kids running around the house, and the adults are in the kitchen. I was probably 12, 13 years old, and my dad was doing something, and then all of a sudden just disappeared. And my dad is kind of like that. He's a talker, but he's also kind of a quiet dude that'll slip off and grab a book and kind of make himself invisible. And I noticed he was gone. Didn't think much of it. Went down, was playing pool with my cousin, and then the girl, all the little girls, my 5, 6 years old, started screaming Santa, because my dad had gotten a Santa suit, and this one, he was a pretty heavy guy, got a Santa suit and a wig, and was trying to sneak back into the house, but they saw him through the kitchen window.
Oh man!
With started screaming, "There's somebody in the yard! Oh my God, it's Santa!" And ran up. Where's your sleigh? Where are the reindeer? And he came in because his cover was blown, in character. And I come up from downstairs because I'm thinking, Santa's here? Really? Really?
Because you've always been a cynic and a skeptic.
No,
right?
I don't remember I actually asked my folks when I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was little, but they couldn't remember. And I think some kid at school, right. But I wasn't gonna say anything because my sister's 3 years younger than me, so I was saving it for her.
Does she still believe in Santa Claus?
My sister?
Yeah.
Oh no, she's worse than I am.
Oh right.
She believes in God more than you do, but she's worse at being a cynic than I am.
Okay.
Social work in Minneapolis will do that to you.
Yes, it will.
But yeah, so I came up and I knew it was him immediately just because you can recognize his voice, and the thought that I had was,
yeah,
wait a minute. How do they not know that dad is gone? How are they not figuring this out?
Man, they must be stupid.
Yeah, I don't get. They saw him 20 minutes ago. He's gone now, and yeah. So that was. But them. The funny part for me is the little girl cousin screaming at the guy in the lawn, realizing it was Santa, and completely ruining the surprise for everybody.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Well, I want to tell you about the last Christmas I spent with family, which was a few years ago. Now, all my 2 nephews and my son and I were all of legal drinking age. And so I was over at my brother Joe's, and we were playing this particular game called Zoom Schwartz, which if you're a rugger, you know what it is, and if you don't, I can't explain it. Anyway, we're playing this game. We're having some beers. My nephew comes down, who's underage. And I'm telling you, the third one, and he begs and he pleads, oh, can I have a beer? Please, can I have a beer? Uncle Pat, you're so cool. Can I have a beer? No, you're underage. Well, come on. Everybody drinks when they're underage. Listen, I can't do it. Finally, my nephew Tyler says, you know what? I'm his big brother. I want to take responsibility. Here you go. You can have a beer. And I kid you not, and this is like 2 a.m. No sooner than had Eric pop that top on that beer, who walks through the door but his mother. So we're all like, and she comes in and she goes, oh, what are you all doing? Not much. She sits down, she cracks open a beer, and I'm like, I got us taken away from Eric. That poor guy still didn't get to drink that night. Just like bad luck, dude.
That's too bad.
We're right up against the break. When we come back, we're going to start talking about the budget bill bickering that's going on, the posturing and everything else that's going on with it. What some people consider a gift from Ted Cruz to President Obama. And later in the show, we're going to be talking about the Senate torture bill release. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Petrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital, Des Moines InterestRates.com. Des Moines Anesthesia, they have 2 offices, one here in Des Moines, one in Fort Dodge. You can get a hold of them at 515-574-6442. They do all kinds they assist on all kinds of surgeries, with the anesthesia. They also do a lot of pain management. So if you're having problems with pain, these people are pretty good to go to. In fact, I forget to say this, there's a new procedure they have that can actually replace the disc that you have in case you have a blown disc or disc slippage of some kind. Also, hit us up at the website. Lefty has a very, now I don't agree with what he says, but the way he wrote this article really is a whole lot of fun just to read. He's talking about the Ferguson protest and all that. It's a pretty interesting read. It's called Let's Talk About Sex, Baby.
No, that's the other one.
Oh,
that's the religion one.
Oh, that's the religion one. All right. Well, I take that one back then. So what one did you just read? I
didn't pick the title, but I think it works. It's I just can't.
Oh, that's right. That one's good too. So
and there's a few more comments than normal after that one.
Yeah, there is. So get out there, Doc and Lefty. Check us out. I'll have a couple of new blogs up this week and next week. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be back right after this break.
Petrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosian Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. So Pat, what do you want to? I mean, we got 2 pretty big bombshells in the last week. That one that was released last Tuesday, right after we got off the air. I mean, it had been released that day, but people really started pouring over it on Wednesday and Thursday. That's the torture report. Then the budget bill and the funding of the government at the end of this week knocked Ebola, Ferguson, and Eric Garner clean off the pages.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Ebola's been, apparently we cured Ebola about back in October, right? Or around November-ish, right around the election.
Yes.
But so which one of those 2 do you want to go with first?
I think we go with the budget.
You want to go with the budget?
Yeah.
All right. So because we are a country that seems to enjoy lurching from self-imposed disaster to self-imposed disaster and getting ourselves into a frothy, spitty mess about the whole thing every 6 to 9 months or so, we have another shutdown, had another shutdown crisis at the end of last week, where the government was scheduled to, I think on Thursday?
Yes, on Thursday.
Run out of money, technically shut down the way that it did this past summer. And the usual suspects back up on Capitol Hill saying this is a great idea. Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, all those guys who were the architects of the first shutdown that worked so well for the Republicans. The last time It didn't really. And back at it again. And this time the Democrats were saying, well, why don't we let him do it? We don't like the secret giveaway that they snuck into the bill. Why don't we let him do it? And in typical Democratic fashion, 57 of them came along to bail out John Boehner and give him his bill to pass on to the Senate, which then Ted Cruz subsequently blocked Friday night. And I don't believe it's passed even as of today. Is that true? Did the Senate pass the bill?
I don't think the Senate's passed the bill. I was looking at, now keep in mind my information is from about 3 o'clock. And at that time, I don't think they'd passed the bill. At least there was no reports that I could see. The House Republicans had passed the bill, and of course they pumped it up to the Senate, which is how these things work. But here's what the problem is. You have, and I have been a frequent complainer of John Boehner. I don't like him. I think he's a terrible leader because he's not approaching his base. We just got done sweeping the Democrats and the liberals from power, sweeping them. That was a pretty nasty thing that happened.
The Senate passed it Sunday night.
Sunday night?
Yep.
Well, then that just tells you how busy I am or how dumb I am. But anyway, the entire thing, they're still working out. Now, hold on. I'm just looking at an article. They're still hammering out details of what's going to do. So everything, it's like they passed like a short-term measure, and now they're going
to get us to tomorrow.
Yes, and now they're banging it. There you go. Now I'm up. Now they're trying to hammer out other things. Well, the bottom line is here's something from my brother Joe that I think is pretty true. The government shuts down every weekend. Well, that's true. So what's an additional, couple of days?
I'm eye rolling at you, Joe.
Yes, there you go. Here, turn it back. Do the eye roll. There you go. Anyway.
I know that's not what he meant.
But anyway, here it is. John Boehner passes this thing just to keep us from shutting the government down. The reason that the Republicans are going along is they get tired of being blamed for every bad thing liberals do. And that's just simply being outplayed by the Democratic side, right? It's just we're getting outplayed. So here Boehner comes along and says, listen, we're going to pass this, and it's going to have all these funding perks. It's going to include an extra $1,000 a month just for our congressmen and senators be able to afford a car. You know what? I know how expensive a car that's $1,000 a month is. All right. I don't want to be paying for some congressman to have $1,000 a month car. They make $175,000 a year now. If they can't afford $1,000 a month car on their own, I don't know why we should be paying for it. But there's all kinds of pork in there like that. And they pass it with the additional bonus of they're kind of helping Obama out with this. Now, I just don't think that's going to go straightforward. And the truth is there's a lot of liberals, and you can speak to this, that are unhappy with how the budget bill's coming out.
Well, it's the typical kind of thing. They threw their weakening of the Dodd-Frank legislation in there, and the specifically the modification to the loan insurance stuff, so that some of these derivatives that got us into such the bad shape that they were in the first place can now once again be insured under FDIC, so that once again investment banks can capitalize the profit and socialize all the risk the way they were doing the last. I mean, this should have you riled up beyond belief, this extra bailout for the big banks.
It does. It just and that's something that conservatives and liberals can agree on.
Yeah. It's the Republicans that put it in there.
Yes.
And there's no equivocation there. Why? What? I cannot understand. Here's this. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a breath, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I understand here. This is why we do this. This is why we lurch from thing to thing, why we can't pass any sort of real budget beyond these continuing resolutions to fund government operations. Because now, with the advent of 24-hour news and social media, these poison pills, these secret pork projects, all this stuff that go into these must-pass budget deals is aired in the public, putting immense pressure on the folks that propose them to then turn around and resist them like hypocrites. That it just we're paralyzed.
Well, the other thing is we're lurching. What we've actually done is we're using crisis after crisis to screw the little guy. That's exactly what's happening. I mean, there's all kinds of things in here that irritate me and make me sick to my stomach as a conservative Republican. You got money in there for health care and benefits for illegal aliens. You have money for, abortion. You have money for all kinds of things I don't stand for. And on the other side is you have spending bills from a liberal who goes, we don't want any of this. This isn't working. How come we don't come up with a balanced budget kind of thing?
Well, and what makes very little sense, because in the broad picture, so there are things that you don't like, there are things that I don't like, and somewhere in the middle we're told and we're expected to accept this as a true premise. Well, then it just washes, right? As long as the Republicans are a little bit cranky and the Democrats are a little bit cranky, then we've reached a central compromise that's good for the country. No, because what you've done is you put in bad things for the country, objectively bad things. It's just that one side thinks they're not quite as bad as the other. Yes, absolutely. Now, we're going to be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. When we get back, we're going to be talking about some of the particulars in the budget bill that neither one of us like. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back right after this break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back, everybody. This is a special Doc and Lefty pre-Christmas episode where we're doing, I don't know about you, and I don't know about your experience, we're doing an old Venus family tradition, which is the week before Christmas, are complaining about money. And we're complaining about money with respect to the budget bill that's going to be signed into law midnight on Wednesday. Well, hopefully prior to that, because that's, I guess, when the funding authority runs out on Wednesday. And we're complaining about it because there's a lot of dumb stuff in this bill. Doc, what do you got?
Well, I'd like to start with you. What kind of dumb stuff irritates liberals?
I'm looking at this report from Reuters, and this is a few days old at this point, but it's like the 14th, and what's today? The 16th, so a couple days old. But I mean, one of the things, initiatives prohibiting funding for the EPA to regulate lead content in ammunition and fishing tackle. That's a huge problem for people, and conservation folks, people like to hunt and fish, should really not like that. Really not like that, because lead content being found in wildlife, in fish, in rivers and streams, that is a problem. And it doesn't even say restricting it or banning it or anything, regulating it. Making, hey, how about we don't have as much lead, the things that kills stuff and makes people dumb, in fishing tackle and shot. Another thing that I see here is, stopping the transfer of release of Guantanamo detainees into the United States, something that's not really happening anyway. So thanks for that.
Yeah, I mean, and on a conservative side, now I will tell you, there's a lot of lead out there. There's a lot of, when you go out hunting, when you shoot at a bird with lead shot, you're shooting out 150 little BBs.
Yep.
And even though that doesn't sound like a lot, you multiply that by 1,000 hunters in an area.
Yeah.
You got a lot of lead in the ground.
It's so, we've known about how dangerous it is for so long. And we could discuss this more on our dove hunting lead bird shot podcast that airs Wednesdays on webcast1live.com. But anyway, we without getting into the weeds about that specific portion of it, scaling back on funding for that specific thing, that means that there's some Republican congressperson from a district where maybe the ammunition manufacturer is giving him a little bit of money, or the hunters are really mad at him because, I don't know if you hunt. I don't hunt. Here's what I'll say. I don't hunt. Let's go out of this rabbit hole for a second. I don't hunt. I don't know anything about it. All I know, I shoot guns. I get targets and stuff every once in a while, and it's fun for me. You don't need lead to do that. So, but what is the advantage of having lead shot?
It's really cheap.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's cheap. And that's the truth. If you can go out and you can buy lead bullets, and if you buy a lead shot, you're talking, for a box of 20, I think the last time I bought them, they were $25 for a box, or $20 bucks for a box of 25. But still shot, you're looking at $35. And if you're going to go out and you practice and you're going to go skeet, I mean, if you're burning through, 30 boxes a month, which is, common among skeet shooters, you're talking $350, $400 in additional costs.
So let me add.
But part of this is, once people have to go with steel, that impacts a lot of other things. Suddenly steel becomes more expensive. They're not going to make, because there's only a limited amount of steel that we can produce in the world. So costs go up for a hobby. And I'm not saying that derisively. It's a hobby that people enjoy, they like to do, and they want to be able to do it. I mean, it just as in comparison, I play harmonica, and harmonica shelf life varies on how much I play it, and eventually I have to replace them. When I first started playing when I was 12 years old, the kind of harmonicas that I have gone from, in the last 20 years, from $15 a pop to over 40. And sometimes you have to pay more. That's just kind of how it goes. But that's a classic Doc and Lefty tangent that we didn't mean to go on because we're talking about the budget bill. But
lead, it's one of those things that just riles up environmentalists. Didn't need to be in the budget bill.
Yes, and the bottom line is I agree, shouldn't be in a budget bill. One of the things that really irritates me about this, here's Boehner and the Republicans in general promising that once we get control of things, we're going to be much more transparent. We're going to be more careful with the money. We're going to do a detailed budget or department by department overview of the budget to make sure, basically auditing, making sure we can say where we can, and this is what they do. It's 1,100 pages. 1,100. There's no way anybody out there has read the bill. It's another giant Obamacare type situation, except we did it. Our leadership in the Republican Party, and that's why I've said over and over, these people need to go. You talk to any conservative host. You talk to any not true, I'm not saying that. You talk to any conservative, that's the first thing they'll tell you. These guys are they're just as bad as the Democrats. 1,100 pages. They got 15 million in there to help resettle illegal immigrants into better communities. What? What are we doing funding that? We have all kinds of other things in here. And on top of this, nobody knew until they passed it. Nancy Pelosi, John Boehner, it doesn't matter. You had to pass the bill before you knew what was in it. It's just awful. They have money in here for increased abortion services. It's ludicrous that we've done this to our own party. This is going to come back to bite us in the butt in 2016 because all this bill is the same kind of bill we had before. Plus, there's money in there to fund Obama's immigration edict from on high. And so it's just like suddenly, it wasn't constitutional, but now through Boehner and Ted Cruz, now it is. Well, that's just ridiculous. What happened to not funding what President Obama had done with the executive order? But they did. So that brings us up to another break. If you want to participate in this discussion, give us a call, 515-244-0077. You know who we haven't heard from in a while?
Who's that?
Tim. Haven't heard from Tim in a while. We kind of miss him. He's working late at night. So
yeah.
Anyway, call up if you want to participate. You can give me a text. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to finish up a little bit with the budget bill, and then we're going to go on to the torture report.
Bertroche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrocheandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for the second half hour of the show. And I had something that I was going to bump in. Oh, you know what? Doc? There's a group of people that we probably need to give a little bit of love to because we forgot to give them love at the end of the last segment. That's our social media people.
Oh,
Facebook,
we forgot.
Twitter. Not the companies themselves, but the people that are part of those organizations that help get their concerns and their ideas and their thoughts about what we're doing and the yays and the nays and everything that comes together into this lovely little stew that we call the Doc and Lefty program. We certainly do appreciate all the contributions that the folks that are out there listening have made, folks that have commented on things on the website, on Facebook, anybody that's retweeted anything that we've sent out there. We really appreciate everything and hope that you keep doing it into the new year because we're hoping that this show keeps building and growing and becoming more and more an indispensable part of your online life. With that said, torture.
Yes. It's torture to watch this?
Ooh.
Oh, I don't. Oh, what a terrible segue.
Yeah,
Maddie sure thinks it's torture. She sits back there like this. Oh my God, he's talking about me again.
That fell like a lead shot out of a dove.
Oh my God. Speaking, you know what? We need to get a harmonica lobby going for you. Reduce the. Yeah, I would. Maddie agrees.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, send your money to Blake Lubinas. He'll accept. Pennies are fine. Send him a giant box of pennies.
Yep, and it all spends the same. So last week, the Senate Intelligence Committee released the executive summary of the much anticipated, much vaunted report on the detention and I don't anticipate whatever, some redundant whatever, and the detention and interrogation program from the CIA that was in existence from 2001, 2002 to 2009. And boy, I read the first well, it's just a bunch of findings, right? It's just finding after finding after finding. So I read the day that it came out, I read the first 30 pages of it. And then, I've been reading it slower and slower after that since then. But holy smokes, what a revelation. I mean, this is all stuff that we've known about for a long time, but seeing it in print and seeing it all in one spot like that. I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, I've said before, American lives are valuable. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, a single American life or a million lives of terrorists are not worth a single American life. I've said that. And the thing is, when we grab these terrorists, these people are terrorists. I don't have a problem with what they did. And in fact, I was reading an NBC poll this afternoon, interestingly enough, that showed the majority of Americans don't have a problem with the harsh interrogation tactics, even after they've been described to the person. So I thought that was a pretty interesting poll. And the report itself, which is what we're going to talk about here, the report itself, I think, is flawed. They didn't. They from what I've understood, and keep in mind, I haven't read the report. I haven't been able to find it to download it. But what I've read has said that the former directors of the CIA weren't even consulted, and that includes Leon Panetta, a long-time Democratic operative, and he came out with a bunch of other former directors and said that this report is incomplete, and these measures saved American lives. Not only did they save American lives, they gathered our intelligence, helped us gather intelligence, and helped us form a basis for which we would formulate a plan and move forward, which at this point has been fairly successful.
Well, they say that, but the report says none of that's true.
But it's delivered from the Senate Democratic. It's delivered from the Democratic
and this
Senate.
essentially make that point, because here are the two sides of this, right? And I want you to maybe lay out what you think the competing interests are. Okay. The White House didn't want this summary released. They delayed it and fought with
until after the election.
Feinstein,
because it was ready before the election.
It's been ready for a while.
Yeah, a long time.
He argued with Feinstein about it for months. Obama did, personally. Didn't want it released, tried to slow play it. This is the White House that has routinely said, we did some bad stuff in the past that we're not going to do anymore, but those people that did it were sympathetic to the reasons why they were under. It's a different stress level, whatever. Has been an apologist for those for that program. So the White House, it's interesting to see what their interests are. But you have the Senate committee that has this report that they say is the exhaustive effort to describe what happened in this program. And then on the other side, you have the folks that participated in the program who are being accused of some really awful things. Rectal rehydration, keeping people in coffin-like boxes for days at a time with no human contact. Loud music, keeping somebody awake for 180 straight hours. Like some stuff that really, like the rectal, that was what stood out to me when I got to that point. I read that paragraph twice when I first got to it, because that was a pretty I don't know. It stood out. Let's just say that. So what's the interest in the Senate report? I mean, are you saying that they just made it all up? That they just created it out of whole cloth? Because when people are accused of things, we know that they will say, if it's bad enough, oftentimes will say things to get away from being accused of that thing. I feel like the interests are misaligned here. So, I mean, what would the benefit be to the Democrats to make something like this up about an administration they're not going to prosecute, that's not been in power for the last 6 years, and after the elections where they just got stomped by the Republican Party, as opposed to the other side that is being accused of torture and possible war crimes?
Well, the thing is I'm not saying what they're saying in there is untrue. I believe a lot of what happened in there is untrue. My point is one, I don't think it's a complete picture what went on. Two, they keep talking in this report. They keep talking about how they were never informed. Well, they were informed. They're informed all the time. Now, if they understood or not is something else. But from everything that the CIA directors have said, they were always kept informed of this.
Once again, the CIA in the report, the report says that the CIA routinely misled them didn't.
But none of the directors agree with that. There's a lot of people who disagree with that conclusion. There's a lot of the Leon Panetta is one of the people that have come out and said this report is incomplete at best and draws a lot of the wrong conclusions. The current CIA director, give me a second, I need my glasses, says specifically here, the CIA director, Brennan, also disagrees with the committee's inference that the agency systematically and intentionally misled each of these audiences on the effectiveness of the program. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. You have the CIA director appointed by Obama going, yeah, this isn't right. That's what the problem with this report is. Now, keep in mind, Feinstein wanted to release this before the election. I think Obama, being the smart politician he is, said that isn't going to be an issue we can win on. The reason I believe the reason she released it now is because this is their last chance before they lose control of the Senate.
Well,
of
course, that's the reason. But
so it's just more political pandering.
All of this is to suggest that the stuff in the report is factually untrue. And there's not been one single person except for Dick Cheney who. We can have an argument about Dick Cheney if you want to, but I don't think you want to.
Not today.
Has no credibility on this anymore at all. Has no, and I would take his credibility on anything related to foreign policy, torture, or anything that happened in that administration with about as big of a salt block as I could find it. Anyway, he's the one. He's the most vociferous person saying it's. I think he said full of crap. Yeah, that's your legacy, man. All the people that are out against it pushing back have a vested interest in it being false. I don't see that competing and contrasting interest on the Senate on the report side. That's what I'm saying.
Well, all right. So we're gonna come back to this right after this break. We want to thank all our sponsors: Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Halo Capital at DesMoinesInterestsRates.com, Des Moines Anesthesia PC 515-574-6442. They do a lot of pain management as well. Follow us on Doc and Lefty on Facebook and at Twitter, and also on docandlefty.com. We'll be back right after this break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We're talking about the report on the detention interrogation program run by the CIA, being called the torture report by me. I'll just go out and say this. My outrage button on this particular topic is broken because I don't feel a lot of visceral outrage the way that you're seeing it with other people. Like Jon Stewart was pretty disgusted by the whole thing. I mean, a lot of the descriptions of the specific tactics that were done are pretty horrific, and there are child rapists in federal prisons right now that are being treated better than these guys, a lot of who were innocent, by the way, according to the report, gleaned from CIA intelligence documents, were treated. And so I just I have a hard time getting too worked up about a bunch for especially like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, now Abu Zubaydah, on kind of a legal level. It's just like, well, that's pretty bad, but boy, I don't care too much about their feelings, I guess. But the question I put to you is, should we be doing this as a country? If it doesn't matter if it worked or not, should we be doing this? John McCain doesn't think we should be.
Well, now keep in mind, John McCain, he suffered a lot. And I guess, one of the questions you were asking me before the break was, what good is it going to do the Democrats to release this? This is how I took that question. Well, the bottom line is Democrats love to smear George Bush. I mean, it's a national pastime for you guys. So that serves one purpose. The second purpose is this also helps undermine the Republicans that are going to be taking power. And the third thing is I'm not going to talk about John McCain because he's an American hero. But the problem is when you have people getting up there saying, well, geez, this is torture. John McCain was one of the people that was informed about these things. The bottom line is we're redefining what torture is. I'm just going to ask you a straightforward question here. I'm going to ask you a question. Yeah. Your lovely bride, soon to be bride, Megan, have you ever tickled her?
I think so, yeah.
All right. According to what we know and how we define it today, tickling is abuse. All right. So you're guilty of abusing your spousal unit at this point. You know what? 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been an issue, but we have redefined it. The problem is we're now redefining what we had said was okay before. And now these people are like, oh, well, now we're backing off.
Waterboarding has been considered torture since World War II, bud. So what's your point?
Well, hold on. Well, but when we were first asked to clarify, is this torture or not? It was said, no, it's not torture.
Rectal hydration sounds like torture.
Yes, but the bottom line is one, I wasn't aware that waterboarding had been considered torture since World War II.
We prosecuted German and Japanese prisoners of war for doing that to our soldiers after World War II.
Well,
it's in the Army Field Manual.
They had prosecuted him for a lot of other things, including
and that,
but that doesn't establish that as
it's
torture.
In the Geneva Conventions. That's torture that we signed.
That waterboarding is torture?
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to have to disagree with you because I've read through the Geneva Conventions and nowhere in there does it say waterboarding. The other thing is you asked me, geez, is this a country we want to be?
No, that's not what I asked you.
What did you ask?
I said, regardless of its effectiveness, should America be doing stuff like this? We've already seen Russia and China come out and say, you have no moral authority to tell anybody what to do anymore. So, I know that you're concerned about what other countries think of us because you complain about it all the time. And you throw it in my face that, oh, man, the Iranians think we're weak now as a big problem. So if China and Russia are now saying that they have the moral high ground, which of course they don't, but they think that now because of this, is torture something America should be doing?
Because of the release of our intelligence, of how we gathered it, is always. I mean, Democrats do this all the time. Release the methods that we use to gather intelligence.
Oh, so as long as it's secret, it's okay.
It's a bad world we live in. It's a bad world. This is what was effective. This protected American lives. And if you're asking me, geez, should we do this
according
in
to the
order to protect
report,
American lives? Yes, we should.
Don't obfuscate. According to the report, it didn't.
But everybody else disagrees.
No, the people that tortured disagree. Not everybody else.
A lot of other people disagree.
Let's be very clear.
No,
CIA...
That is complete disingenuity.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Not everybody else, except for those who did it, agree. There's a lot of people who disagree.
Who? Who? Tell me who. Tell me who. They did this for 5 years.
All the ex-CIA directors, right? All of them, including Leon Panetta. All right?
Involved in the agency under investigation. 5 years, CIA reports from their own mouths and documents CIA generated, and they come up with these conclusions.
Well, the bottom line is they have every means to come up with this conclusion. Where were they? Why
so
were
you're
they
saying it's a
protesting
lie
10 years ago? Yes.
You're saying it's a lie. You're saying that Dianne Feinstein's committee lied in this report.
I'm saying that it's not complete. I'm saying there's a lot of things that they left out, and I'm saying that they're drawing a lot of conclusions that they may not be accurate. That's what I'm saying. And if you're sitting there saying, well, geez, name who they are, give me 20 minutes. I'll look it up on the internet. There's plenty of people out there who disagree with the release of this report. Your own president, for one.
He doesn't disagree with the report. He just didn't want it released.
Because he understands there's a lot more at stake than just political gamesmanship here. The bottom line is, this program protected American lives. If these senators had a problem with it,
no evidence of that.
They should have said something then.
You had no. Well, they did.
They did not.
Yes, they've been working on this for 5 years. You have no. Quit.
This didn't start 5 years ago. This started 12 years ago.
The report. Well, and they said they weren't briefed on until 2006. You are making a declarative statement here of fact. You're saying that torture protected American lives and rendered useful intelligence. I'm saying,
and a lot of people say that.
I'm saying the Senate report says that neither of those two things happened, and you are citing no evidence that's credible. Dick Cheney's not credible on this.
Well,
the CIA is not credible on this.
Just because you sit there and say they're not credible doesn't mean that they're not credible. Your simple declaration of that doesn't make it true. Our producer just told me to calm it down, so we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Petrosian Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertroshandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertrosh and Associates.
Welcome back, everybody.
Holy shit. We had a whole lot of text about that one.
Well, that's okay because, like I said, I don't particularly care one way or the other about how these folks were treated on an individual level. But I hear from conservatives all the time about how great and perfect and wonderful and godly this nation is. And this is not the kind of actions that a perfect, wonderful, godly nation takes. And so I don't want to get into some kind of metaphysical religious conversation with anybody about this. All I'm saying,
even how great America really is.
Hey, man, I still live here. I'm not planning on moving anytime soon. I'm just saying that how can you hold in your head this shining city on the hill with what was revealed to be the shining city's sewer system in this report? I don't get it. I'll just tell you what I think. It just this argument that if we say, hey man, we don't really want our government torturing in our names, just so figure out another way to do it. What did Cheney say out that he wasn't going to give Abu Zubaydah a kiss or something? There's a long way between a kiss and rectal rehydration. There's a lot of room between those two bookends. And so, but for when I say that, the resistance I met, the response that is leveled at me is that I don't care about American lives and that I'm unpatriotic for having a critical view. And boy, that sounds familiar. That sounds a lot like 2001, 2002.
Well, hold on.
No, not you. I'm not talking about you. Right. I'm just making a broad statement about the tenor of this conversation, not you and I particularly. And so, because I can about imagine what your brother's texting you right now.
No, actually, here. I'll show you. Tell you what Joe texted. It's all about the context, and I believe, and that was the point I was making. It's a lot about the context of the time when it went on, and then the other thing
but that isn't
drawing in. Droning torture.
Well,
because you and I agree on that.
I think it is. I think it is, and I think that. And here's the other issue with Obama that I'm critical of with his position towards this report. Perfectly willing to call what the Bush administration did was torture. Fine, fair enough, President. I agree with you on that. But as far as we know, George Bush didn't order drone strikes against American citizens overseas. As far as we know, yes. He did not do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? But you know what George Bush did was sign the Patriot Act that allowed him that kind of authority that the Obama administration, because when you become the president, you are a partisan figure, but you're also trying to grab that executive power and trying to make that executive power. And we have talked about this. The next president that's elected in 2016, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, will take it further. And maybe this is my own liberal conspiracy. I don't do this very often, but honestly, the framework is there. The ground has been laid. Unless the Congress of the United States, and to a lesser degree, the Supreme Court, stand up and tell these presidents, you have to rein it back in. You can't take these kind of actions or just name people enemy combatants or suspend due process for American citizens overseas that are engaged in terrorist acts against the country. We're going to see that kind of stuff come back home. It's a matter of time before we've had pretty good presidents with, as far as their moral character is concerned, I would say, in recent years. But that's not a rule.
Well, I'm going to read
that's a concern.
I'm going to read a couple other responses we had. One person said, I think we need to bring back MK Ultra and use chemical means to interrogate. That I don't know. I don't think we ought to bring back MK Ultra.
I don't know what that is.
It's a top secret CIA thing where they use chemicals. But would using chemicals be considered torture?
It could.
All right. So, and then another one from I don't even want to say who it was. Says, I think loud music and 180 hours without sleep and rectal hydration sounds like a party to me. So we have it from all over the board.
So be my guest.
Yes, absolutely. So the thing is in this context, it's obvious. Lefty and I are passionate about this, and sometimes it spills over into some shouting on the show. So I apologize for that. Hopefully our sound mixer kind of toned us down. But today there was an attack on a school in Pakistan that killed 140 children. Mm-hmm. They took the school hostage. What if they had been able to, what if through the use of waterboarding, which is torture, what if through the use of that, it would have prevented this attack? Would have been worth it then?
I don't know. That's a utilitarian kind of, that's a hypothetical trap.
It is a hypothetical trap, but that's exactly the same kind of thing that the CIA faces.
Except that
it faces it every day.
But see, you are setting up this condition that is almost certain never to ever be possible. Abu Zubaydah, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, right? Zubaydah, ticking time bomb. He was the guy. They didn't say who he was, but he was the guy that had the information we needed about dirty bombs and the rest of it, right? You know what they did? When the CIA came in, they put him in solitary for 47 days before they asked him a question. How urgent was that need to interrogate him if they were willing to put him in solitary? Obviously that was a long fuse on that bomb, sir. And so,
but it's not just the one bomb that they were after. They were after the entire network. And when you talk about, this
so they had time. This is a crucial point. They were saying that they had to torture.
It's called preparation.
They had to torture because it was a very, very narrow time that they had to deal with here. The ticking time bomb. If we know this bomb is going to go off in 10 minutes, we're going to torture the crap out of that guy to find the bomb. Well, that's not the case. It's almost never the case.
But the problem with what you've just said is they're trying to put together the entire network. They're trying to figure out how these people think so they can anticipate. They weren't cooperating. The other thing is about this attack in Pakistan. You said, geez, this is something, it's a trap. Yeah, it is. I freely admit it. But it's a trap that our CIA intelligence people have to go through. And this damages their ability to do that. Number two,
they've been doing it for years without torturing. Doing it for years without torturing.
And look, and 9/11 happened.
Yeah, but there wasn't a 9/11 25 years, 30 years before.
There were plenty of attacks. They had several attacks.
Not like 9/11.
Not like 9/11, but it was all built up. If we had these interrogation techniques before that, maybe we could have prevented 9/11.
That's a terrible thing to say, and it's not true, and you know that's not true.
But you don't know it's not true.
But see, that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
You're right. We agree. We don't know. We don't know.
So maybe we err on not torturing people. If we don't know.
Because we've already tried it that way. We got 9/11. That's pretty simple.
They're not linked. How can
they are linked.
Folks,
they are linked.
He's making an irresponsible
irresponsibility.
Irresponsible
You're
comment.
sitting here saying that an attack like that happened in Pakistan is something that's not likely to occur. It is likely to occur. There's Beslan, that was likely to occur.
You just said if we had been torturing people, we wouldn't have 9/11. There are no evidence to support that. It's irresponsible.
But there's no evidence to say not torturing would have prevented it.
But we didn't torture and it didn't happen.
But the thing is we weren't torturing, and that's my point. We weren't torturing, and it happened. So we know that not torturing can lead to things like that.
What Doc is saying is
that's the absolute truth.
What Doc is saying is that this phone right here prevents tiger attacks because I've had this phone this whole time. We haven't had a tiger attacks in the studio. That's the argument you're making.
Disingenuous.
No, that's exactly the argument you're making.
No, it isn't.
Run back the tape, watch it, and see for yourself. You're a smart guy. You'll figure it out.
I'll see it. But the bottom line is you're saying, geez, if we don't torture things, bad things won't happen.
No.
Well, the bottom line is
I'm saying
bad things did happen.
I'm saying that we can figure out bad things without torturing.
The thing is, the bottom line is we already tried it your way. And it didn't work all that well. We tried it this way. We prevented a lot of attacks.
So say
that's
you,
what a lot
with
of
no
people
evidence.
say.
But that's okay.
Well, wait, I do have evidence. Simply because you say, geez,
nope,
it's not.
I'm not saying it. The Senate report said it.
Yeah,
the Senate report said it.
But no
the
Republicans signed on. It wasn't a bipartisan bill. You don't see the Republicans going, hey, yeah, we will all agree with this. You don't see a single Republican saying that. And when I sit there and say, geez, the people that are in the know disagree with it, you go, well, they don't have any standing. They're not worth listening to. That's what you're saying.
Because they're the ones that lose if it's true.
Well, who loses if the Senate report is false? Nobody. All you've done is besmirch everybody in our system. And Feinstein doesn't run any risk.
Wait, hold on.
So that makes it more legitimate?
If nobody loses if it's false, but a lot of people lose if it's true.
No, the Democrats don't lose if it's false.
No,
the Democrats have nothing to lose by releasing this report.
If people lose if it's true.
All they get to do is besmirch the Republicans.
If people
now we're up
lose
against
if it's
our time,
true.
we're going to have to go. Lefty and I, trust me, we're going to be having this. We're going to have to come back and visit this after Christmas because next week's supposed to be a nice show.
Yep.
I'm glad we got this out of the way
Well,
early.
we certainly didn't want to talk about, what our government was committing war crimes in our name over Christmas. That would be pretty terrible.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I can feel my ears are red. I can actually see my cheeks red on the thing. People, if you ever want to know what a red face means, here, flick right over to Lefty there. No, you can't quite see it.
I feel like I'm pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I can't quite see it, but he's flushed. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Bertrosha & Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, DesMoinesInterestsRates.com. That's Halo Capital. Des Moines Anesthesia PC at 515-574-6442. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Doc and Lefty, and go hit our blogs, docandlefty.com. We'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.